Now that I've got the lines drawn onto the foam core, I need to go ahead and cut it out with a knife. Be sure that you get a new X-Acto blade, and I think an X-Acto knife works about the best for this. Take and just try to follow along the line as best as you can. Push down fairly hard. And I try not to go all the way through to my table because it'll ruin your knife. Once you make a cut, lift it up, make sure your fingers are not under where you're cutting. And then go ahead and push it through the rest of the way and finish your cut. Go ahead and overcut on the corner a little bit. Then start with your next cut. Get it to where it's following right on the line pretty good there. And then lift it up, be sure your fingers aren't in the way. Push down and go all the way through, and then you'll make your next cut that way. Do that all the way around. Now you're going to notice two different line types on the plan. Wherever you see the solid black line, those are the areas that need to be as straight up and down as we possibly can get them, because those are the sides we're going to glue planks onto the side of. The dotted lines going around the outside, we're going to end up cutting and carving that foam away, so if we don't get those right on the money, it's not going to be as critical. Now what I'm going to use to cut this pattern with is a retractable knife. This one I like. What you can do is you can extend it out as far as you want, and it's the type of knife that you can just break the blades off if they get dull. Because of this, I can extend it out all the way and cut through 1-inch foam fairly easily. Now I'm going to start cutting the inside walls of this level first. These are the walls that had the solid black line that I'm going to glue the planks to. So I extend the blade out most of the way on here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it right on the line, and I'm just going to make sort of a light cut down into the foam going across. Now when I'm on the inside here, I don't want to try to overcut the corners too much. You will overcut them some, but you'll notice that there's a very small bridge. This is a very delicate piece here when we get done, and it's going to be easy to end up breaking it accidentally. So I'm going to be careful not to overcut too far, but I will overcut the corner some. So I'm just going to cut across that way, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of wiggle the knife back and forth to get it down just a bit deeper, and then I'm going to make another cut going across like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wiggle the knife in down a bit deeper. I'm going to put my hand under, but be careful. Don't cut your fingers. Don't put it under that far. Put it under just far enough that you know the blade's going to go all the way through the foam. And then you can go ahead and cut the rest of the way through the foam. And you can probably see that the knife is actually going through the foam all the way here on the back. Now to get this cut all the way, probably an easy way to do this is to push this down through the foam, hold it up on end, and then just kind of slide the knife straight down until you get all the way down to the corner here. And we're going to continue to do all our cuts on this whole piece. Whenever you have an interior cut like this one right here, it's best to cut this one out this way, cut this one out this way, and the inside one cut across until you can finally go straight down with the knife and finish your cut like this. Now I've got all my cuts done on the inside, and I'm going to push the middle part out. I went ahead and just cut it out here so I could remove this middle piece. It's a good idea sometimes to double check the back to make sure that all of your edges are connected so the center piece will actually come out. And just sort of take your time and wiggle and push the center piece out. Then what we've got to do is go ahead and cut around the outside. Now the outside's not going to be as critical of getting it exactly straight up and down, but try to do the best job you can getting it out. Okay, I've got this completely cut out now, and you can see that it's kind of delicate here and here. If you accidentally break it here, don't worry about it. We're just going to glue it back together, so it's not really that big a deal if you break it. You'll notice that it does fit on the base pretty nicely and pretty straight. Okay, here's what the two pieces for level 2 look like cut out. So if we put this whole thing together here, we've got the base, we've got level 1, we've got level 2, and you can pretty well see where these actually line up on top of this piece. The last piece to cut is our level 3, which will go on top, and it will form the top that will be removable for our hill here. Okay, here's the top layer cut out, and the only other thing we're going to cut out is this square hole. To do that, I'm going to use a regular X-Acto knife blade. Be sure that you put a fresh one in or a sharp one. I'm also going to loosen this up and let this blade stick out quite a bit because we're going to have to go down into the foam. So the best way to do this, I want this fairly straight as possible. So I'm just going to kind of saw with it straight down. I'll push down with it straight down. And I'm going to lift up the foam and go straight down with it. There we go. I got all the way through, and I'm just going to saw it like that, and it looks like that side I got pretty good. And we're going to do that for all 4 sides all the way around. Now this last back side that I cut right here, I'm going to cut it at an angle. You can just cut it straight down and that'll be fine. But what it is underneath of this hill, there's going to be a ramp that slopes backwards, and I'm going to put a ladder on that. So if this hole is cut straight down, you're going to look like you're going to hit your head on it when you try to come up the ladder. So instead of going straight down with a cut, I'm going to lean the knife back, you know, probably about 30 degrees. It doesn't matter how much you lean it back because you're never going to see the underside anyway. Now the last 2 pieces to cut are our 2 ramps. So just take a scrap piece of foam, slide it underneath there, transfer the design and cut those out as square as you possibly can. Try to get the sides perpendicular with the table surface. Okay, here are our 2 ramp pieces. Now you're going to look at this and you're going to say that really doesn't look like a ramp. Well, it doesn't yet. What we're going to do is we're going to split this diagonally. So take the block and go from corner to corner as best as you can. And you're going to have to be sure that your knife extends out far enough to be able to reach all the way across here. So go from corner to corner, and you're going to have to carefully saw down all the way through the block. So do your best. If you mess this up a little bit, it's not all that critical. I'm just going to sort of go like that. Let's see if I can get my fingers out of the way. If I can go like halfway down here, then maybe I can go from the other angle. I'm going to flip it over on the other side, and I'm going to try to go halfway down this way also. Okay, let's see if I can go fairly straight. There we go. We got 2 halves. Now if you totally mess this up, you've probably got tons of extra scraps of foam that you can try cutting it out of. The 2 low ramps will actually set in this area right here and here. And you're going to notice that these ramps are too small for the sides. That's okay, because what's going to happen is we're going to put our wooden plank on one side and put a wooden plank on the other side, and then we're going to squeeze our ramp in there. That way we don't have to cut or angle these wooden pieces here. That'll just set in like that, and that'll set in like that. And we will have our wooden planking along the edge of the ramp coming up to the upper level like this. Now on the other side, this other ramp is going to go up in the air right like this. And if it doesn't fit in this corner good, there's probably some scraps of foam that you need to sort of remove. But that will set right up in the corner tightly like that. This 3rd layer is going to go on top of here, and this sticking up ramp is going to poke through that hole so we know exactly where it goes. Now if it's a little tight, don't worry about it being a little tight, just squeeze it in there. And once that's positioned on the top of that ramp, we can pretty well see that that's how the upper layer is going to line up. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue the first layer down. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue. That's what I tend to use for everything. So I'm going to flip this over on the back. And I'm going to put a good bead of glue all the way over the whole thing, set it on top, and put a book on top of it. Okay, I've got glue spread over the whole surface here. Then I'm going to take it, flip it upside down, stick it on top of here, and try to get the outside edges to line up as closely as you can. If they don't line up perfectly, it's not a big deal because we are going to carve those outside edges away anyway when we get done with this. So get that set down into place. And the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and glue the second layer on top of it. When you do it, be sure that the inside lines up as straight as possible. Don't worry about the outside edge. Some parts of the outside edge will line up the straight, but it's more important that the inside lines up, because you're going to have 2 plank pieces in here like this, and you're going to have a straight beam that goes across them to sort of tie them together. So you want this to be as straight as possible. This one's going to line up on this side, and once again, line up this square corner right here, line up this straight wall here, and line up this flat edge right here. Push it down and get it to set. Now once that's dry, go ahead and glue your ramp in right here. You're going to notice that there's like a 1/4 inch edge here. That is intended, so don't worry about, well, it doesn't line up here. It's not supposed to line up there. there's actually going to be a beam or something else filling that area right there. So don't worry about that. Glue this into place, and also glue a wall plank here, glue a wall plank here, and glue planks on the other side, on the inside. Now before we glue these ramps in, one thing I want to do is try to put some wooden planks in as sort of steps. They're not going to be everywhere, but just enough so that if you have a figure, you can get the figure to sort of be able to stand up occasionally on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this piece of foam, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the edge here. Let's see, we'll take this piece of foam out, and I'm going to use my blade here, and I'm just going to cut this off right about there, like that. Then, once this is slid down in here, we've got a plank piece that's going to fit on the edge and glue just about into there. But I also want a few additional steps, so I'm just going to sort of mark them with a marker. I think I'd like a wooden step plank probably about here. I'll probably put another plank just about here. And going down here, I'm going to put a plank, I would say, maybe right here, about a third of the way down, and a third of the way down here. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut these slots for these wooden planks. I want these wooden planks to set recessed in here a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep my knife horizontal, and I'm going to cut back a little bit, straight back. Watch your fingers. And then I'm going to cut straight down to remove a notch out of the foam like that. Let's see, where is it? There we go. And then test fit your plank in there and see how it fits. Now that we have all three ramps glued in here, I'm going to go ahead and glue all of the wooden planking to the inside. So I'm just going to basically real quickly show you where everything goes. So we've got another plank that goes across the top here. You'll notice this extends out a 1/4 of an inch so that we can put another plank right here. We got another plank up above right here. We've got another plank that's going to go right here. We've got another plank that will go up above. We've got another plank right here. And right here we're going to put a 1-inch plank, and we've got a little bit of extra foam right here. That's okay because we are going to carve that down for part of the hillside, so it's not going to be a problem of this foam sticking out right here. As we carry this on around, we're going to use a 1-inch plank. We're going to put it right there. We're going to follow this on around, and we're going to put a 2-inch plank here. We're going to put a 2-inch plank here, and then we're going to finish off with a 1-inch plank going right over here on the inside. Now follow along the other side. Here's quickly how these are going to lay out. We're going to have a 2-inch plank going right here. We're going to take a 1-inch plank and we're going to put it in here. And we're going to have a little bit of edge, but that's okay because we can sort of carve that away. I'm going to use a 1/2-inch piece and I'm going to put it right along here. Along the back side here, what we've got are 2 planks that go up against the wall. And just sort of squeeze them in. If they're a little tight, you can just sort of push and get those into place like that. We've got 1 plank that's going to go here. And we're going to do the same thing up above. So we got a 2-inch plank here. We got a 2-inch plank here. I carry this on around. We got a 2-inch plank going up here. So we're just going to keep following this all around with the 2-inch planks. We've got a plank that's going to go here. We've got a 1-inch plank that's going to go here. That's going to meet even. We've got another one here. We've got a 1-inch plank that's going to go right here. And then we will carry this around to this side, and we're going to have a 2-inch plank. This 2-inch plank is going to overlap this one a little bit, and we're going to have a 2-inch plank that's going to go. It's going to set right in there like that. And then in here we're going to have a 2-inch right here. Then we're going to have another 1-inch that sets in right here. We're going to have a 2-inch that goes right here. We're going to have a 2-inch that goes right here. We're going to have a 1-inch that goes right here. On the very outside corner here, I decided to use a 1/2 plank instead of a full plank on that side. That way when we cut the hill, it's easier for us to cut down and not have to worry about a piece sticking up. The one up on top is going to go here. And once again, we're going to put a 1-inch plank right here. And we're going to have just a little bit of home hill left over so that when we carve this down, this is going to sort of disappear. Now when you're gluing these in, you may have a little space between some of these. In other words, if I push this all along to the side, I've got kind of a big gap here. We're going to put boards over these gaps. So what you want to do is you want to just sort of push these to space them out a little bit. And when we cover these seams with boards, you're not going to see that there was any gap in there anyway. Now if you happen to be running short on 1-inch pieces, simply take 2 of these 1/2-inch pieces like this and glue those in to take the place of the 1-inch piece. Now the last thing we're going to do is glue a couple of planks under this 3rd layer so that this 3rd layer will set down and pull off in the exact same location each time. So you remember this ramp that sticks up above? What we're going to do is we're going to feed it through the hole right here, and be sure that you push it forward as far as possible so that ramp hits against the back of the hole. Next we're going to use a couple of 2-inch planks and we're going to glue them underneath right here. Now if they're a little bit too tight, what you can do is sand the edges, but they should fit pretty close. We're going to set it right here where it meets the edge of the wood here and glue it up to the 3rd layer. We're also going to do it for this spot right here. We're going to take a wooden plank, 2-inch one, put it underneath, and then glue it up to the top of the 3rd layer. Now I'm skipping ahead in the process to where I've already put the first coat of paint in the model. And the reason that I'm putting this so far ahead in the video is so you can see how this fits on. When I'm trying to put this back on top of here and fit it on, this doesn't want to fit on real good. Right here it's kind of tight. In other words, I have to kind of push this apart for this to drop down in, and when it comes out it like it wants to stick right here. The reason is because, I don't know if you can see this, but this whole thing can flex a little bit. So when you first put this block in here, if you make this block just a little bit shorter so it drops in and has a little bit of movement in it, when you get to this stage it'll probably fit just about right and you won't have to manually spread this apart in order to get this to fit.